Let's continue here on Radio Boss. We're joined by a gentleman, as a matter of fact. And look, his new song, the video for Sweet Release, right, is dope. The song in of itself is dope. It's rising up the charts, as a matter of fact. And this young man, I mean, he's not new to this. Been doing this for quite some time. Started out on Motown. Then he went and did his own thing. Art Society Music Group is his label. So he's a writer. He's a singer. He's a producer. He is an entrepreneur. He is Kevin Ross. He joins us here on Radio Boss. Happy New Year to you, Kevin. What's going on?
Happy New Year, my brother. I'm feeling blessed, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's good to have you. I saw the video. I'm like, man, this song is really tight. The video is really nice. So I said, oh, my man, it's from the area, as we call it. It's from the area, right?
Yeah.
So, just talk about the song and the inspiration behind the song and the video.
Oh man, the song, I was looking for a record to complement my first single from off of Drive 2 called Looking for Love. And I knew that, I operate well in pairings as it pertains to songs. And once I get like a good pair, then it's off to the races with the whole project. And so Sweet Release was kind of like the missing piece. I was like, I need something like a great intro, something that, to like for people to just really vibe out and understand what the whole premise of my project is about. And once I got the concept and nailed the production, man, it was on from there, and whenever somebody was just like, yo, what does your project sound like? What does it represent? I will always play those two records, Sweet Release and Looking for Love. But Sweet Release actually took a life within itself. Once I put it out, people really started to stream it a lot. And I had to pay attention to that. It was not intended to be a single at all. It was really just supposed to be a super dope intro into the project. But the people said that they wanted it as a single, and they were right. We took it to Sirius XM. Shout out to Heart and Soul and the good people over there, and they championed the record, and it went #1. And it was the #1 record over there last year, 12 weeks standing, beating out Silk Sonic by a week.
Wow.
So it was really a serious indicator. We took it to terrestrial radio, and now we're top 10 Billboard R&B song. So it's really a huge feat in a sense of something where you intended it to just be for one thing. God said, he had other plans. So along with the video, I wanted the video to, just to kind of express the sensuality, you know what I mean? Like, and for me not to be in it as well. I wanted to not do as much work for I just wanted to sit at the piano and just kind of be the orchestrator. But, honestly, Sweet Release in the video, it only shows one facet of what Sweet Release could be. Sweet Release could be you just getting off of work and getting iced coffee, or, you know what I mean? Like taking your shoes off and, you know what I mean? And just chilling out. It's whatever that you indulge in that you deserve after a hard day's work, or just putting in that grind. So, I don't want anybody to misconstrue it as just like, Sweet Release just for the sensual purpose of it, but just for the all purpose of the enjoyment of life and the human experience. It just so happens that the video is more compelling with sensuality.
No, very well said, man, because the song is dope, the video is dope. I'm glad to hear about that on the Sirius XM channel, Heart and Soul. That's really big. I mean, you're not new to this. Even before I talk about some of your other records, projects, your career, I mean, you've been doing this for quite some time. Even before that, writing. So Ty Dolla $ign, you've written for many, many artists. So kind of talk about that, and then making the transition to writing for yourself, if you will.
Oh man, I thought that I was just going to be writing for everybody. I thought that, I was just going to have a super successful career with just writing for everybody, and I didn't need to be an artist. God had other plans, and it was very early on into my writing career where God was just like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing every day. This is not what you're meant to do every day. And I was just like, I feel you, God. Lead me in the direction that I need to go into, because, this ain't it. And he brought back up artistry. It was always a thing of, you sing, be an artist. You know what I mean? But it was more so for me. I'm like, I want to go where the money at. Where's the money? And so, I heard that the money was in writing. I heard that the money was behind the scenes. And so that's where I went towards. And God had other plans. And he was just like, why limit yourself to just one thing? You know, I designed you to do it all. And it took me a long time to understand that, to really like step into my own power and purpose. But it took me to start with one, and that was writing. And then it kind of spawned into everything else. But working with so many of the legends, the Jamie Foxxes, the SWVs, the Trey Songz, the Nicki Minaj's, the Ty Dolla Signs, the whoop the Tanks of the world, and all of those great, amazing artists. I took something from them, as it pertains to just like their character and their demeanors, and how they handled pressure, and just all these things that made them successful. And I was just like, okay, I like that. I like that. That's inspiring. That motivates me. So, there was a reason for me being in the rooms outside of just making songs. It was really just to glean off of them, so that when it was my time to create music, I could really kind of, put a lot of those characteristics into a pot and, be the person who I am and grown to be.
Yeah, I don't talk with you more. We'll talk a little bit more about taking the whole DC vibe of all the R&B that has come through there. It probably even started before Marvin Gaye. But when you talk about the cream of the crop, it's got to be Marvin Gaye. It was back in the day. Yeah. Kevin Ross joining us here on Radio Boss. Sweet Release is his newest project. Check it out. Request it. Right. Watch the video. It is very, very dope. Your first album was on okay, so let me talk about this. When God said to you, hey, it's time to write, that's fine, but now it's time for you to be an artist, right? So you started, what was your first album was on Motown, right? So sort of speak to that, but even more specifically, well, let's start there. Let's talk about that first album and how that came about and what that meant to you.
Look, when God gives you a mission, sometimes it isn't always like a walk in the park or the walk on the beach. He said it, he declared it, and he set me towards the path. And it was not easy. I spent about a year and a half making a demo, which I didn't even know was going to be a demo, but a demo to what was going to eventually have me to be signed to Motown Records. And during that time, I was working with everybody, every producer that you could think of. And then all of a sudden, for like 6 months, my phone went silent. And I was like, what happened? Like, what's going on? And God needed to sit me down and say, I need for these songs to come from you, not from anybody else. You don't need anybody's input. Make these songs the way that you would create them, purely. And those pure songs got me to deal with Motown. It took another 2 years of developing and cultivating, in a sense, to then get put on the road with Maxwell. That was my first tour, was opening up for Maxwell. So that was a very wild experience. I was used to doing maybe a show every 3 months to doing 5 to 6 shows a week. So that was a very different beast, but it conditioned me, and it allowed for me to see what my future could be if I worked hard, if I remained diligent. With all that to be said, I created a song called Long Song Away, which ended up going on to my first album, and that scored a #1 on R&B radio straight out the gate. And it was written and produced by me. And it was an amazing feeling. And not too long after that is when I asked for my release.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. Yeah. Because I think that's interesting, because it's a grind, like what you're doing now, which is great. You're an entrepreneur. Yeah. It's a grind. I mean, not that it's not a grind on a label. It's just a different grind. So what made you decide to do that?
Yet again, I think it wasn't me. I had a plan to say, I had a 3-album deal. So I said, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and roll with the punches. These 2 albums, learn, give them the best music that I could possibly give them. And then I'll go out on my own. And God was like, nope, you're gonna leave now. The writing's on the wall. Things are gonna happen internally in your team that's going to push you to make this decision. Because I need for you to make this decision. And it was not easy. Once again, right? It was not easy. And so in 2018, while I was going through the transition, I created Art Society Music Group. And then a year and a half later, Motown graciously let me go. They graciously let me go. And then I began my independent journey with a single called Thing Called Love. I was distributed through, or I still am distributed through Empire. Shout out to Gazi and Tina Davis and Delonte Murphy, who's also another DMV native as well. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a different grind over there within the indie sphere. And so, you know, you're betting on yourself a lot more. You're putting up more of your own personal money to get whatever that you need to get done. So I remember going to, you know, radio with Looking for Love, and I had to put all that money up myself, you know, and that's not a, you know, that money ain't nothing to, it ain't cheap. It ain't nothing to sneeze at, you know. So I was really walking by faith, but it was bigger than me. And I understood that in this indie space that it wasn't too many R&B pioneers in the sense of laying a blueprint of independence. In hip hop, we can name them: Percy Miller, you know what I mean, Birdman. You got I mean, the list goes on and on as far as Black entrepreneurs within the hip hop space to pave the way for what hip hop is now. But I couldn't say the same thing for R&B. All of my heroes are or was signed to a major label. And so I couldn't relate to them as much when I began my independent journey, because I'm like, God is setting me on a different path. How can I become Maxwell if I'm using my own dollars? You know what I mean? But, you know, it was about slow and steady and running the marathon and pacing myself to say, I've given you youth, I've given you time to your advantage, so that you could do everything that you need to do, but you need to set this blueprint, not just for yourself, but for the next generation and then the next one after that. So your name is bigger than just being an artist or being a singer or being a writer, but you were somebody who was there to help build a template for R&B creatives like yourself, so that they don't feel like when they go independent that they're lost in the wilderness. And my point is to prove that R&B is profitable, it's still popping. It may not be the biggest thing within the light, but there's so much opportunity that's there for us. It's just the fact of who's willing to go out there and work. And I think that within my journey, this is what separates the men from the boys, or the women from the girls. And I just want to make it easier. I want to make it easier for the next generation. So when they come and they ask for advice and they say, hey, man, I'm working at Subway or McDonald's, but I got this passion in me, I can first start them off to say, I know you want to be a star, but let's make sure that we set you up for success. Let's make sure that all of your bills that are paid is with doing music. So let's start off there. The star thing will come, but the first thing is making sure that you can make a living off of what you do and off of what you love. And that's rare for people. So I'm passionate about that.
Man, very well said. Kevin Ross, Sweet Release. Ask for it. Check it out. He joins us here on the program. So, you know, I really, you know, being from the area, man, like I really like talking to area people. So I've, you know, we've had Raheem Devon on the show, and Tank and Maya, right? And man, all of, you know, Genuine, like we haven't had Genuine, but you think about all of the in DC where it's about go-go, right? But there's that R&B space that goes back to the day with Ray Goodman and all them, and you go even further back with Marvin Gaye, and it's been so, you know, William Devon, all these people that have come from the area, man. So speak to that, particularly in the R&B space, in an area where go-go really is king.
Well, I mean, that's been my whole MO from the very first single I did, was to allow for our area to understand that we're a lot more than just go-go. Truth be told, WHUR was the first radio station to create the format called Quiet Storm, which is now what we know as adult R&B format, which is now being transformed just into sheer R&B radio. So without the help of WHUR in Washington, D.C., based on Howard University's campus, there wouldn't be the format of what we know now. We would be even more lost than, what we are now. And so with that being said, instead of me leaning into the go-go sound, I lean into another part of our culture, and that's Quiet Storm. So, from every record that you hear, the lushness, the musicality, all of these things are an homage to Quiet Storm, which started in DC. So that's kind of been my thing. Like every chance I get, when they be like, why you make the music like that? I'm like, because it's DC. Well, it ain't got no go-go in it. It's like go-go is just one facet of DC. Like we've created a whole format for thousands of artists to live off of. So why not somebody from the area pay tribute to that? And I will forever continue to pay tribute to it, because there's not a lot of people who do. And there's not a lot of people who know that history. So it's a part of my job to spread it.
Man, very, very well said. I'm sure some of those artists you kind of looked up to, I would think, kind of growing up, particularly from them being from the Washington area.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I met Tank in Genuine the same night. I'm at Tank's studio, and I had to move my car, and I'm moving my car. I'm coming back into the building, and I hear from like 2 blocks away. I said, whoever this is, they're from DC. They have this thing. But we're in LA. We're in Los Angeles, by the way.
Okay.
Go heavy. You could feel it shaking the ground, right? Pull up fast. Skirt. Genuine pop out, right? I was like, of course he's playing go-go. It only makes sense. So go inside, meet them, we work, all that stuff. And it's such a great experience because they're all cool and humble. And then I would pay homage to Genuine for Black Music Honors maybe like a year or two later. So that was really dope to, even do that, for a fellow DMV artist. So that was amazing. Tank has always been there to give great tips and advice on how to stay in the business. He always shows love, even in interviews. He always mentions my name as far as like for R&B singers who he's looking out for, or that he's, who's up next, or whatever the case may be. So it's always love, man. I haven't gotten a chance to meet Maya, but I mean, obviously, being a young boy in the DMV, definitely one of the crushes. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, you know what I mean? So definitely, and Raheem, man, being able to work with him on Lessons remix, that was amazing. That was really, really awesome. And great pen. He's been in the indie space for quite a long time. And somebody that I glean and lean towards as well, as far as watching him maneuver and stuff like that. So yeah, man, everybody from the DMV shows love. It's not too many in the R&B space that I can say I've had bad experiences with. So shout out to all of them for sure.
Beautiful. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Kenny Lattimore. There are others.
Oh man, look.
Yeah.
The vocalist, he ain't no singer, he's a vocalist. That's a different caliber of a throat right there. Now Johnny Gill is another one as well. Yeah. Look, the list goes on and on. Everybody want to hoop and holler about their city, and I just want to hoop and holler about mine. So it's a long list of amazing artists that come from the area. So shout out to each and every one of them for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. There's so many Stacey Lattisaw. Going back to today, many of them. Kevin Ross joins us here on the program. We appreciate the time. So what do you remember most about growing up in the DMV? And also, it's like everybody that sort of in the industry or in this industry went to Duke Ellington, man. Like y'all went to Duke Ellington. So what do you remember most about growing up in the DMV?
Oh man, I remember DMV in the 90s as like a little kid. I remember Overnight Scenario being blasted on radio like really heavy. I remember it just as far as like Black entrepreneurship at an all-time high. You know what I mean? From all of the clothing brands, from Hobo to We Are One to Shooters,
Yeah,
to Saviato. You know what I mean? It was so many different brands that, I mean, we paid good money for those clothes. Like we was playing Nike, Ralph Lauren prices for these clothes.
yes.
Like these were expensive. But that's what I do remember, is that like the hustle, the entrepreneurial spirit within the city has always been high. Always. The party life, immaculate. You know what I mean? Even before I could get into clubs, I was hearing about Zanzibar. I was hearing about Club Dream. I was hearing about all of these places, Posh, and you know what I mean? Just like this Black flyness. And that's what I love about our city, because we really, we care about one another, and we want to see each other win, even though that may not be as evident from time to time. But in the sense of when we're out in different cities, for the most part, we want to look out for one another. We take care of ourselves very well. We're very groomed people. Praise God to that, as a city.
That's true. Very true.
You know, and it's just, I don't know, man. I think the culmination of, having, Howard there, and then, being the nation's capital, you get a blend of everything. But I don't know. It was very Black. Like for me, my childhood was just very Black. And I loved that. I love the fact that it was so chocolatey and just, you know what I mean? It was vibrant, dangerous sometimes, but vibrant nonetheless.
Man, if I had known you were gonna mention all them brands, man, I would have brought out my Madness shirt. You know what I'm talking about? So you mentioned DDT, you mentioned DDTP, Hobo, all of that, man.
Yeah. You would get your clothes like custom made. Yep. You would say, all right, cool. I'm gonna have this, then I would have my name right here on the leg or the pants. Man, it was a thing. Like it was a vibe. And we repped it everywhere we went. We would go to Mexico or wherever that we would go, and we would have full Sabiato suits on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and nobody knew what that was, but we just thought it was, it was the freshest thing ever. You know what I mean? And I think that's just the power of our city. You know what I mean? We take pride in it. So I love DC forever.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Couple more thoughts with Kevin Ross. So are you with Bounce Beat? Are you into this new guy? Because I've been gone from the area quite some time, and I can't, Backyard, Junkyard, Essence, Horse Chuck. I had to come down to North Carolina. All the years I lived in Washington, it took me coming down here to see Chuck when he performed down here. Rest in peace when he was still alive. Yeah. But the Bounce Beat, man, are you into it?
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm into all things DC, whether or not it's an acquired taste. It's just another, I guess, expose of our inventiveness. Let's say that. So whether people like it or not, you know what I mean? It's a part of us, and it's something different.
Yeah. You a big sports fan?
I inherit the sports from my father. So in a sense that, like, of course, it's the Commanders now, but it's the Skins, baby. The Skins. Come on, we was there when it was the Bullets. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
The Wizards.
I know.
So yeah, I take pride in it. I take pride in it for sure. I may not know all of the new things that's going on as far as the new players and who's what and whatever, but if I'm in a bar or whatever and it come on, I'm always rooting for the home team, always.
Yeah, good deal. Last thought. So what are you currently working on, and what's next?
Oh man, I'm working on new music. I have a project that's coming out called Midnight Microdose. I have a new single that's coming out January 27th. It's called Look My Way, but you can actually hear it on Heart and Soul for what? Starting next Monday. So that's what, January 9th or 10th? It's one of those days. But it comes out officially on DSPs January 27th. Midnight Microdose will be coming out in the spring. Great vibes on there. I call it Midnight Microdoses because of the fact that I'm a new dad. So a lot of the time that I spend working on music now is at night. Very nocturnal now. But then also I'm notorious for making short form songs. And that's been the biggest gripe for a lot of my listeners and fans and supporters, is that my music is short. And of course, I had to lean into that and say, okay, well, here's some more. I won't stop making short form songs because it works for me. But yeah, here's a project attributed to that called Midnight Microdose. So it's gonna be a vibe for sure.
Man, that sounds so good. Tell us how we can follow you on social media.
Absolutely. Make sure that you follow me at Kevin Ross Music, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I'm also on TikTok, and that's I Am Kevin Ross. For all shows and merchandise and everything else revolving with Kevin Ross, that's kevinrossmusic.com. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. I see you got a couple shows coming up too.
Yeah. Got some shows coming up, but yeah, we moving, man. Everything is moving in the right direction. So new music, new energy, new dad, new life. You know what I'm saying? We in here.
Beautiful. Kevin Ross joining us here on Radio Boss. Kevin, appreciate the time. Continued success in all you do.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.